When two souls begin to gravitate towards each other, there is a kind of electricity that doesn't need words to be felt. It's in the way your energy shifts when they enter the room, in the way your heart feels lighter yet heavier at the same time. Falling for someone isn't always a dramatic confession or a single moment of realization. It's in the small details, the silent glances, and the effortless connection that keeps pulling you closer. If you've been questioning whether what you're feeling is real, today we'll uncover four undeniable signs that you both are falling for each other fast. And these signs go beyond surface attraction. They reflect something much deeper, something soul stirring. There is a type of energy that cannot be explained through logic or reason, a magnetic pull that seems to draw you toward a person without effort, and it's something you feel more than you can ever articulate. Emotional magnetism and chemistry go far beyond surface level attraction. They are not just about appearance or charm, but about a deeper resonance between two souls. It is that sensation you feel when your eyes meet and time seems to stretch, when a single glance carries an entire conversation, when their presence alone alters your emotional state without them even trying. This connection cannot be manufactured or faked. It feels organic, natural, and undeniable, like gravity itself is gently guiding you closer to this person. It's not always dramatic or overwhelming, but rather a subtle intensity, a quiet electricity that lingers in every interaction, a force that feels both thrilling and safe at the same time. And this is often the first sign that something profound is developing between two people. You start noticing how your energy shifts around them, not in a forced or performative way, but in a natural flow where you feel more alive, more present, and more yourself in their presence. There is no pressure to impress or overcompensate. Instead, there is a sense of ease and familiarity that feels almost otherworldly, as though you've known this person far longer than you actually have. This magnetism isn't just about attraction, it's about resonance, about the way your energies align and complement each other effortlessly, the way they speak, the way they move, even the pauses in their words hold your attention, and you find yourself deeply drawn to their essence rather than just their appearance. It feels like their energy speaks to yours on a subconscious level, creating a pull that cannot be ignored. And no matter how much you try to rationalize it, it doesn't make sense because it isn't meant to be logical. The chemistry between two people who are falling for each other is not loud or desperate. It's steady, it's undeniable, and it has a way of making the world feel quieter when you're together. There's a warmth that radiates from them that you feel even in silence, a pull that keeps you wanting to be near them even without words being exchanged. You catch yourself noticing the smallest things about them, the way their eyes light up when they're passionate about something, the way their energy shifts when they're deep in thought, the tone of their voice when they're relaxed. And all of these details begin to feel meaningful. It's not a simple crush or fleeting interest. It's a deeper connection that makes you feel seen, understood, and connected on an emotional wavelength that feels rare and precious. This kind of chemistry doesn't need validation or acknowledgement. It's an energy that exists naturally, almost like your souls are speaking a language that your minds haven't fully grasped. Yet emotional magnetism also reveals itself in the way you feel drawn to them in moments of stillness. When they walk into a room, your heart instinctively notices their presence without searching for it, and when they are away, there's a subtle emptiness that lingers in their absence. This isn't about obsession or dependency, but about the emotional depth of connection that is forming, a depth that makes you more aware of their existence even when they're not around. It's the reason their laughter stays in your mind longer than you expect, why their words echo in your thoughts hours after they've been spoken, and why their energy feels comforting in a way that's difficult to explain. You feel this pull not because they're trying to impress you, but because their authenticity resonates with something deep within you, something that feels safe and familiar, yet exciting and new at the same time. This is the chemistry that keeps you wanting to understand them more, to explore the connection further. And it is one of the clearest signs that something significant is unfolding between you both. One of the most powerful signs that two people are falling for each other quickly is the way conversations between them begin to shift from surface level chatter to something much deeper and more meaningful. It's not just about exchanging words or talking for the sake of filling silence. It's about a genuine desire to understand and connect on a soul level. You start to notice that time disappears when you talk to this person, that hours can pass without either of you realizing it because every exchange feels natural and effortless. There's no pressure to impress or pretend. No need to hide behind masks or carefully curated images. Instead, there is a raw honesty that begins to emerge. You find yourself opening up about things you never thought you'd share, things that you may have even hidden from others for years, yet with them it feels safe, like your words are being cradled rather than judged. This is emotional safety, and it is one of the most magnetic and undeniable elements of falling deeply for someone. There is a unique kind of comfort in speaking to someone who listens not just to reply, but to truly understand. You feel their attention fully, as if your words hold weight and significance, and that level of presence makes you feel deeply valued. Conversations become more than just an exchange of thoughts. They become moments of healing, spaces where you feel seen and understood on a level that few ever reach. This is why emotional safety is such a clear sign of connection, because when you feel safe to express your fears, your dreams, your insecurities, and your hopes without fear of rejection or ridicule, it reflects a bond that is rare and precious. This type of connection doesn't grow out of shallow interest or fleeting attraction. It comes from a deeper resonance, a natural alignment of energies that allows two people to create a safe space within each other. It's the kind of connection where silence isn't uncomfortable, where pauses in conversation feel like moments of peace rather than tension, where even your unspoken emotions are understood without the need for elaborate explanations. What makes these deep conversations so powerful is not just the depth of topics, but the emotional intimacy that comes with them. You begin to notice how easy it is to share your stories, your struggles, and even your vulnerabilities without hesitation. There's an unspoken understanding that what you share will not be used against you, that your truth is safe in their presence, and that they genuinely care about what you're expressing. This emotional openness creates a kind of intimacy that surpasses physical attraction. It's the kind of closeness that makes you feel connected even when you're apart because you know they hold a piece of your soul within them. And this isn't one-sided. They too feel safe with you. They too begin to open up about their own fears and experiences. And this mutual exchange of trust builds a bond that is both delicate and powerful. Emotional safety is what allows two people to see each other fully, to embrace each other's imperfections, and to form a connection that feels unbreakable because it's built on truth and acceptance rather than pretense. These conversations become a refuge, a safe haven from the chaos of the world. No matter how heavy your day may have been or how overwhelming life feels, speaking to this person becomes a source of peace. Even through simple words, there's an emotional warmth that wraps around you like a protective layer, making you feel lighter just by expressing yourself. And the beauty of it is that you don't feel pressured to be perfect or polished in these moments. You feel safe to stumble over words, to express raw emotion, to simply be yourself without fear. This emotional security is one of the clearest signs that this connection is special because most people don't get to experience this level of safety with just anyone. It's not something that can be forced or faked, it's a natural byproduct of genuine emotional alignment. When you feel this kind of safety with someone, it often accelerates the process of falling for each other because your walls start to come down. And with every deep conversation, with every shared moment of vulnerability, your hearts begin to intertwine in a way that feels effortless and deeply fulfilling. One of the clearest signs that emotions are deepening between two people is the quiet presence of jealousy and protectiveness that begins to surface, not in a toxic or possessive way, but as a natural byproduct of care and emotional investment. When feelings grow, so does the instinct to guard what feels special, to protect the connection that feels rare. And this shows up in subtle ways that often go unnoticed. You might find yourself feeling a slight pang when you see them giving too much attention to someone else, not because you want to control them, but because you value what you share and fear losing it. This jealousy is not loud or dramatic. It's quiet and internal, a gentle ache that reveals just how much this person matters to you. It's a reflection of emotional depth because we don't feel protective over things that don't hold value to us. And this instinct to guard their happiness, their well being, and your bond is a sign that love is beginning to take root. Protectiveness also becomes evident in the way you pay attention to their emotional state. You start noticing small changes in their tone, their body language, or even their silence, and a natural instinct to comfort them takes over. It's not about rescuing or controlling them, it's about wanting to be a source of safety for them, wanting to create a space where they feel secure. This level of attentiveness shows a deep emotional investment because you are not only drawn to their presence, but also tuned into their emotions, caring for their well being without needing to announce it. Whether it's something as simple as making sure they're comfortable in a room full of strangers or standing up for them when they're not around, these protective instincts reveal a bond that is built on genuine care rather than superficial attraction. This is where emotional depth becomes obvious, because protectiveness is not born out of insecurity, but out of love, out of the desire to shield something precious. Subtle jealousy, when healthy, is often a sign that emotions are becoming more serious because it reflects that someone has become emotionally significant to you. You don't feel this way about everyone. It only arises when your heart begins to attach, when this person's presence feels irreplaceable, and when your connection becomes something you quietly treasure. These feelings don't have to be acted on aggressively or expressed dramatically. They often manifest as an internal awareness, a soft reminder that your bond with this person matters deeply. It's in the way you subtly shift your attention when someone else draws too close to them, the way you instinctively want to protect their time, and the way you become more conscious of their importance in your life. This is a sign that your emotions are evolving from simple attraction to something more meaningful, that your soul is beginning to prioritize this connection on a deeper level. This protective nature extends beyond emotional care. It shows up in the little ways you want to make their life easier or safer. Maybe you notice yourself checking in more often, ensuring they're okay, or instinctively stepping in when they seem uncomfortable. It's not about control or overstepping boundaries. It's about feeling a sense of responsibility for someone you deeply care about. Emotional connections like this naturally awaken the instinct to nurture and defend, to provide a sense of security because their well being becomes tied to your own sense of peace. Even in their absence, you think about their safety, their happiness, and whether they feel supported. And these thoughts aren't burdensome, they feel natural because your feelings are genuine. This kind of protectiveness is deeply rooted in emotional intimacy. It's a reflection of love forming quietly beneath the surface, of a bond that has begun to mean more than either of you may fully admit yet. It's a natural progression of emotional closeness, where their pain feels like your own, where their joy feels deeply satisfying, and where their presence feels like something worth guarding and cherishing, because some connections are too precious to take lightly. One of the most undeniable signs that two hearts are falling for each other is the deep craving for one another's presence, not in a desperate or obsessive way, but in a natural and magnetic pull that keeps drawing you together. This longing is not just about physical closeness, but about emotional closeness, about the comfort and peace you feel when they are near. You start to notice that being around them doesn't feel like effort, it feels like home. And no matter how chaotic life gets, their presence becomes the calm in your storm. It is not about constantly needing to speak or be entertained, because even the silence between you feels soothing. This craving is not born out of loneliness or insecurity. It is a reflection of the connection that has formed, a connection that feels like your soul recognizes theirs and seeks it out naturally. You begin to realize that time passes differently when you're together. Hours feel like minutes, and parting ways always leaves a quiet ache in your heart. This craving for presence is deeply tied to emotional intimacy because it is not simply about wanting to see their face or hear their voice, but about the way their energy makes you feel safe and understood. You might find yourself longing for their company even after spending the entire day with them, not because you are dependent on them, but because their presence feels rare, like a gift you don't want to take for granted. You start to anticipate their laugh, the sound of their voice, the way they look at you with understanding, and these small details become things your heart longs for. Their presence becomes a source of grounding, a reminder that you are seen and valued in ways that words alone cannot capture. This desire to be around each other so often is one of the strongest signs of emotional connection because it reflects that their essence has become a source of peace and joy in your life. When two people are falling for each other, simply being in the same space becomes fulfilling, even if no words are exchanged. It's in those quiet moments where you're doing nothing at all, but still feeling deeply connected that you realize something powerful is happening. You might be sitting in the same room, both focused on separate tasks, yet you still feel the warmth of their energy. This kind of connection is rare because it doesn't require constant validation. The desire to be near them is not about needing attention, but about feeling drawn to their soul. It is a craving that feels natural, like your energy seeks theirs because it feels at peace in their presence. You may notice that even the smallest interactions with them leave a lasting impression, that their absence feels heavier than you expect, and that their company feels like something you unconsciously prioritize because it adds meaning and depth to your life in ways that are difficult to articulate. This craving often reveals itself in subtle habits. You start to look forward to their messages, you notice their absence in conversations, and you find yourself wishing they were there in moments that matter to you. It's not a loud or dramatic longing, it's quiet and constant, like a soft thread that pulls you toward them no matter where you are. You might catch yourself planning your time around when you can see them again, not because you feel incomplete without them, but because their presence feels like a safe space, a place where you can be fully yourself without pretense. And when you are with them, time loses meaning, the outside world fades, and you feel completely present in a way that rarely happens with others. This emotional pull is one of the most beautiful signs of falling in love because it shows that their energy has become a part of your emotional landscape, that your heart feels at home with them in a way that words can't fully explain, and that your soul naturally seeks the closeness of theirs because it feels seen, understood, and deeply valued in their presence. One of the most profound signs that two people are falling for each other is the way they begin to understand one another without words, as if there is an unspoken language that only the two of them share. This synchrony doesn't come from effort or practice. It happens naturally, quietly, and beautifully, almost like your hearts are speaking a language your minds have yet to catch up with. You start to notice that you can read their emotions just by looking at their face or sensing their energy, and they can do the same with you. There's no need for elaborate explanations or constant reassurance because they seem to just know when something is off, when you're happy, or when you need space. This unspoken understanding is what creates a powerful emotional bond because it makes you feel deeply seen in a way that words often fail to achieve. You begin to feel like this person truly understands you, not just your words or actions, but your essence, your energy, and your soul. Synchrony shows up in subtle ways, often before either of you even notices it. You find yourselves laughing at the same things, finishing each other's sentences, or instinctively moving in sync without trying. It's in the way you both instinctively reach for the same item, choose the same side of a conversation, or react the same way to a situation without exchanging a single word. This alignment creates a sense of closeness that feels incredibly natural, as though your connection is operating on a deeper level. There is a rhythm that forms between the two of you, a flow of energy that feels effortless. And this is what makes your bond feel so different from every other connection you've experienced. This type of synchrony is not forced. It emerges naturally when two souls are deeply aligned, when there is an emotional and spiritual resonance that goes beyond simple attraction. There is also a sense of comfort that comes with this level of understanding, a comfort that allows you to drop your guard and simply be yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. You no longer feel the need to explain every detail of your feelings because they can sense it. And this ability to connect without words creates a sense of security that is deeply soothing. It feels like being emotionally held even without physical touch, like having someone who knows you well enough to understand your silences. This understanding makes even the quietest moments between you meaningful because you don't feel pressure to fill every pause with words. Instead, the silence becomes a language of its own, a space where your connection speaks louder than any sentence could. This is the kind of bond that people crave because it makes you feel truly seen, not just for what you present to the world, but for the parts of yourself you rarely let others witness. Unspoken understanding also deepens emotional intimacy because it fosters trust. When you know someone can sense your emotions, your needs, and your unspoken truths, you begin to trust them on a deeper level. This trust creates a foundation where love can grow rapidly because it's not just built on attraction or compatibility. It's built on a deep emotional resonance that feels unshakable. Synchrony isn't just about mirroring each other's actions, it's about the emotional harmony that develops when two people's energies align so closely that they begin to feel like they are tuned into the same frequency. You start noticing small details about each other without trying, and this heightened awareness creates a sense of closeness that feels almost telepathic. This connection doesn't demand constant communication because it thrives in mutual understanding, a kind of connection that transcends words and makes you feel like your souls are naturally drawn to one another. This is why people often describe this feeling as if they've known each other forever, because when emotional synchrony exists, time and logic seem to fade, leaving only the undeniable sense that this bond is rare, powerful, and deeply meaningful. One of the clearest signs that two people are falling for each other quickly is the natural shift in how they begin to invest emotionally and prioritize one another in ways that feel effortless and genuine. When feelings deepen, this prioritization doesn't feel like an obligation or a task to check off. It becomes instinctive, like second nature, because the bond has moved beyond surface level attraction. You start to notice that their happiness begins to matter to you in a way that influences your own emotional state, that you want to see them smile and feel at peace, and that their well being feels connected to yours. Emotional investment is not about grand gestures or constant declarations of love. It's shown through the quiet and consistent ways you show up for each other, the way you become more attentive to their needs, and the way they start to become a part of your thought process, even when they're not around. This shift is subtle yet undeniable, and it is often one of the strongest signs that a connection is turning into something truly meaningful. When someone begins to hold an important place in your heart, your energy naturally shifts to include them in your life in more intentional ways. You might find yourself rearranging your schedule to spend more time with them, not out of obligation, but because being around them feels rewarding and fulfilling. They become part of your plans, part of your vision, and even part of your decisions because their presence carries weight in your life. This level of prioritization is not about losing yourself or neglecting your own needs. It's about a mutual exchange of care, where both people naturally begin to think of each other's comfort, happiness, and safety without hesitation. You notice yourself remembering the smallest details about them, not because you're trying to impress them, but because they matter deeply to you, and your mind and heart naturally hold on to the things that make them who they are. This emotional investment is quiet but powerful. It builds trust, security, and intimacy in ways that words alone cannot. Another layer of emotional investment is the willingness to be present during their difficult moments. When you're falling for someone, you don't just want to celebrate their highs. You want to stand beside them during their lows. You begin to feel a sense of responsibility for their emotional well being, not in a controlling way, but in a deeply empathetic way, as if their struggles matter to you as much as your own. This willingness to provide support, comfort, and reassurance shows that you're emotionally invested, that their feelings have an impact on yours, and that you care about their growth and healing as much as their happiness. Prioritization in love isn't only shown through time and attention, but also through emotional presence, through being the person they can lean on when life feels heavy, and through showing them that they are not alone. These actions come naturally when love begins to take root, because genuine connection inspires a selflessness that is not performative but deeply sincere. As emotional investment grows, so does the subtle but undeniable way you start protecting your bond. You begin to prioritize communication, understanding, and effort because this connection feels too important to let slip away. You find yourself more patient with them, more willing to compromise, and more open to growth because love naturally softens and strengthens you at the same time. Emotional prioritization is not about grand romantic gestures, but about the everyday decisions you make that reinforce the value of this person in your life. It's shown through how you make time for them, even on your busiest days, how you listen with genuine interest when they share something that matters to them, and how you naturally want to contribute to their happiness. It's about caring deeply enough that their dreams matter to you, their struggles move you, and their presence enriches your life in ways you can't ignore. This emotional investment creates a safe space for both people to grow together, and it becomes one of the strongest indicators that the bond is deepening into something real, something lasting, and something neither of you can easily walk away from because it has started to feel like home. When two souls begin to fall for each other, it rarely announces itself with loud declarations or dramatic gestures. Instead, it weaves itself into the fabric of your lives through subtle yet undeniable shifts that cannot be ignored. It's in the magnetic energy that draws you closer even without words, in the deep conversations that strip away the need for masks, and in the sense of emotional safety that makes you feel truly seen and understood. It's in the quiet moments of protectiveness, in the subtle jealousy that reveals your heart's attachment, and in the deep craving for each other's presence that feels less like desire and more like a natural need for closeness. These signs are not surface level, they are soul level. They show that your connection is not built on fleeting attraction, but on emotional resonance, on a bond that feels both rare and familiar at the same time. As this bond deepens, you begin to notice the emotional investment that flows so naturally, the way you start to prioritize each other's happiness without it feeling like a sacrifice, and the way their well being becomes a part of your own. This is what makes falling in love so profound. It transforms your perspective, your priorities, and even the way you carry yourself in their presence. The emotional synchrony you share starts to feel like a language only the two of you understand, a rhythm that makes your connection feel effortless yet deeply meaningful. Love in its purest form is not rushed, forced, or transactional. It is a slow merging of souls that happens quietly but powerfully, revealing itself through these unmistakable signs that you are no longer just two individuals crossing paths, but two lives slowly intertwining. Falling for each other fast is not just about the intensity of the emotions, but about the depth of understanding that accompanies it, the comfort of knowing that you've found someone who sees you beyond the surface, who feels your energy even when you don't speak, and who holds a space for your heart without demanding it. When you notice these signs, the magnetism, the safety, the protectiveness, the craving for presence, the emotional synchrony, and the willingness to invest deeply, you are witnessing something rare, something worth cherishing. These signs are a reflection that what is growing between you is not just attraction, but connection, not just chemistry, but alignment, not just fleeting excitement, but a love that has the power to shape your soul and leave an imprint on your life that you will carry forever.